Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 2, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for episode 13 for this season, the third last episode, otherwise entitled All Is Lost. But of course, before we get into anything else, let's actually watch this trailer.
You can do things other people can't do.
I can keep her safe.
Not even Superman can keep everyone safe.
I feel like everyone hates me. I don't have a future.
I want to protect you from everything, but I have to learn to let you make your own mistakes.
So last episode was, of course, the return of Superman and Lois from a roughly month break or something. Like, what was it? I think it was 4 weeks, but it might have been 5 weeks. About a month, give or take. And we, of course, dealt with the fallout from the big reveal from the previous episode, which some people forgot, I guess, about maybe. I'm not too sure because of that break. But, of course, that was, Clark revealing to Lana that he was Superman. And, of course, it's pretty much dealing with the fallout of that, mainly through Lana and just how, just the whole secret keeping of that, and also just how she didn't piece things together and all that type of stuff. But, of course, the ever-living threat for the, most of this season was still in the background, just still waiting. Not just the Bizarro world and, all the Bizarro evil people that could be affecting Earth Prime, but the big issue, Ali Alston. So really the action-based stuff was to destroy the pendant, but of course Ali doesn't want that to happen, and of course we get that conflict. We see her steal some power from both Tal-Rho and Superman, but they didn't really die or feel, nothing major happened in regards to that. But on the Bizarro world, Ali goes to the Bizarro Tal-Rho and completely absorbs his power, kills him. Ali Alston is a parasite, or a version of Parasite, probably the best way to put it, from the comics. So we're starting to see that with some extra things added on in regards to her power set as well. She's pretty much a mixture of, at this point, at least visually from what we've seen, Superman, she can fly, has strength and everything like that, mixed with Parasite. She can absorb power. So, pretty overpowered. And also in last episode, which seems like the stuff from that episode, at least an element of it, we're carrying on to this episode, is that we have Natalie's, steel suit, which I was trying to get power for, and they left the X-Kryptonite behind. But that's being built, so I think that plays into this episode in some way, at least based off the synopsis. But of course, in regards to the synopsis, we will go over that. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts, opinions, theories, predictions, all that stuff. Always curious to read what you're thinking and what you're looking forward to most in this upcoming episode. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you want to show support and you're looking forward to the episode, why not drop a like on the video to show that? Clark and Lois disagree on the best way to figure out if Ali Alston went to the inverse world. Meanwhile, John Henry makes a surprising discovery and Lois sets out to track Lucy down. So the trailer itself, and you probably would have got it from watching it obviously, is that it doesn't actually show that much at all. It actually uses a decent amount of footage from previous episodes. I think there's even a shot from episode 4 or 5 in there, but there's a good amount of footage from the previous 2 or 3 episodes just strung throughout the trailer just to, stretch it out, get it to that, I think, how long's the trailer? I think it's 16 seconds on average. So it stretches it out to get to that amount, which usually means they are trying to hide as much as they can from this episode. Of course, it's the third last episode of the season. They really need to set up the stuff that's going to happen, at the end of the season, because usually your final 2 episodes for most shows play off like a 2-parter. Last season of Superman and Lois did that. Most shows do. Those final 2 episodes are pretty much like a 2-parter. So your third last episode is really not to tie up storylines, because sometimes it's a bit too early, but really to set every storyline up to its end game, if you want to put it, if it's not a storyline that's continuing on to the next season. So I'm very curious to see what happens in this episode. It could be an action-packed one. It could be an easy one that just sets everything up. It's hard to tell once again because the trailer doesn't really show us that much, and the trailer doesn't actually make you think it's going to be that big of an episode. So I hope it surprises us. Now, just quickly, I know this is going to trigger people. It's triggering me, I'm pretty sure. I think we take a week's break between this episode and the next one. So we get this episode, I'm pretty sure, but then we take another week's break. It's annoying. I know, it's annoying, but I think that's happening. But of course, I guess we'll know when we get the trailer breakdown for episode 14 if that's 100%. But in regards to the trailer, we have like a bit where it looks like Clark might be training Jordan, or it might be a mix of that with this thing, because it also be because of the split between the Cushing and Kent family from the end of last episode, which I forgot to mention actually, where Lana wants to put just a break between their interactions just because of like with holding in this lie that Clark is Superman, Jordan's got powers, everything like that. But it seems like Jordan might be going out of his way to protect Sarah, and maybe even becoming a bit stalkerish in regards to that because he's just trying to keep an eye on her so much. But then also maybe limiting interactions, at least maybe in the eyes of people like Lana and stuff like that. But Jordan does go to Lana. We see that in the trailer in the mayor's office. And Lana like almost like gives him a reality check that like not even Superman can keep everyone safe. Like Jordan would have to be on Sarah watch 24/7 for that to be the case. That's just not going to happen. Otherwise, you are definitely getting into stalkerish territory. Now, of course, we had that big episode, a handful of episodes ago in regards to Jordan and his powers. And then we also had him taking on the Bizarro Jonathan. So I am very curious to see what the next stage in that is. And I think we're going to get that, probably not in this episode, but in those final 2 episodes, most likely the finale. So I'm curious to see what his power level is and what his status is as a superpowered being, I guess a hero in a sense, come the season 2 finale heading into season 3. Because I think this is a big thing for this show, is how they deal with Jordan on a consistent basis once he makes that, he crosses that bridge from just guy that's developing these powers and sort of struggling to a guy that can fully control them, knows how to use them properly, and is, instances and examples of him being a hero. That's the bridge they're currently crossing. So how they handle it once they cross that bridge, which will mostly be for season 3 to deal with, that's a thing I'm very curious about, and whether it works consistently. I think it will, but I guess you have to balance it with stuff with Jonathan as well as just stuff with Superman as well. So that's a wait and see, but that's something we should see, like, them finish crossing that bridge, I think, by the end of this season, I think, at least because they're pretty much close to that at least. So I'll be very surprised if they leave finishing that off to season 3. But speaking of Jonathan, he's got some of his own drama going on, and it will be interesting to see what they do with his character for the last part of this season, because, he's dealing with the fallout of going back to school after this ex-kryptonite drama. But, like, does that get a focus in this last bit, or are they trying to deal with it in this episode? So then the final 2 episodes are more dealing with stopping whatever Ali's doing and everything like that. But I'm just wondering if they're going to do anything for him to to set up anything with him leading into season 3, just because Jonathan's another character where if Jordan crosses that bridge, he's got his powers, he's maybe working with his dad, where does Jonathan go? I like, we've talked about how, they're playing Jordan as like, oh, well, he's the Superman, like in regards to these 2 twins, Jordan's the Superman of that twin relationship, and Jonathan's going to be more like Lois. But how do they go about that? You can't just have Jonathan just do nothing. So, and I'm that's not me saying he has to get powers, even though a lot of people want that. That's just me wondering where they're going to take the character. Obviously, it's a wait and see. That's definitely something you're waiting until season 3 to see play out. But I'm wondering whether they set that up at the end of this season, maybe even this episode. Now, there are parts on the synopsis which are not hinted at in the trailer. The first one being that John Henry makes a discovery. My assumptions would be that he finds Natalie's suit. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, unless it's something else, but I'd assume it's Natalie's suit. I'm just going to assume it's Natalie's suit, but also maybe that the twins knew about it, that Jordan and Jonathan knew about it, because there is that scene in the trailer where Lois is sort of walking away from John Henry, and I wonder whether John calls Lois in, saying, look, I found this, and blah, 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 and maybe he thinks that the twins know, and then maybe that leads Lois having a conversation with them where they reveal that, yeah, they were helping Natalie out behind everyone's back. But speaking of Lois, also we have Lois going out to track Lucy down, and it seems that she might leave Smallville, I'm assuming, to find Lucy. And I wonder, is that only for this episode, or is that bleed into the next episode as well, then leading into the final parts of this season? Because Lucy's been like, oh, she shows up, goes away, shows up, goes away, shows up, goes away. So they're going to have to tie that, I'm assuming, because she's tied to the Alley story. But it's just in the synopsis. We don't see any visual stuff of it in the trailer, so I don't think we can really just, theorize too much about that. I think we just have to wait and see how that plays out in the actual episode. But based off the end of last episode, because of what happened to the Bizarro Talro, is someone else dying this season, or maybe even more than one person? Are we going to see multiple people die that, you know, we recognize as characters? Because Ali is overpowered. What she can do, you know, it's insane. So the only thing I'm thinking is that they could go and kill, you know, 4, 5, 10 other people that we recognize, but maybe they are the Bizarro versions because they're just expendable, you know? There's no, like, look, our Talro might die, but it's easier for them just to kill the Bizarro Talro because it doesn't really play too much into the story at this very moment. So it's still like, oh my god, we recognize that character, and you get a bit of a shock from it, but at the same time, it was an expendable character for the most part. So I'm curious to see whether that continues. Like if Lana, for example, like the Bizarro Lana fails to go do what she needs to do, does Ali just go, you're useless, you're hopeless, and just takes her power? Same for anyone else that falls into that. Maybe even Bizarro Jonathan. Maybe that happens. But if it is to be like an Earth Prime person or people that we recognize, who could it be? Well, I already brought up Talro that it could be, and I also brought that up in my review. He's escaped from the end of last episode. Who knows where he's going to show up again? But once again, where do they move Talro going forward as a character in this show as a whole, like season 3 and stuff like that? Maybe he could sacrifice himself. I'm not too sure, but Talro is a character I could see dying. Seen people saying John Henry, but people also saying John Henry last season. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for John Henry to leave. I don't know if they've really, at this time at least, going into this episode, don't think they've set him up for, oh yeah, he's a character that dies. Like, I just don't think they've done that well enough, at least based off what we've seen so far this season. And even then, just because we've only got 3 episodes left, I don't think they've done enough where I think that would be warranted. So I'm not too sure if I would like that. But I have seen people saying that maybe Sarah dies, which I think is extra. I'm like, I don't know if Sarah is the, like, I think the only reason people say Sarah dies is like some like motivation for Jordan. But you don't need to do that. Like, that's like fridging. You don't want to fridge it. Like, that's like a major issue is fridging. So I don't think they should do that. However, a character I could see dying, which I think they've done a good enough job this season in their story in the background, where I think it would feel warranted and fit into the story for multiple characters that they do die, is maybe Kyle. If he is a character that maybe dies. It doesn't have to be that maybe his powers absorb, but maybe he just dies through injury or whatever it is. But his whole arc this season has been about redemption, not in the eyes of redemption and self-healing, but not only in the eyes of like Lana and his family, but to himself as well. And they've had a real major focus over these, like you would notice if you think back to it, over these past like few episodes, they've really lent into like him growing this relationship better and everything like that. Just a lot of redeeming qualities. So he's a character I could 100% see dying if that's the way they're going to go. But at the same time, we just don't know if Al is going to get like juiced up, if you want to call it, on taking people's power just from the Bizarro world, because that they're just all expendable characters. So that's the easiest way to show her doing it and killing people without taking any of the major characters from the show away at the same time. But yeah, of course, we might get another death this week if Ali's really trying to consume as much power as possible. But yeah, we'll have to wait and find out. There's no promo images at this stage, so we're just going to end the video. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. If you could drop a like on it to show support, let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions about everything we went over and all that. I'm always curious to read what you're thinking. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.